Welcome to Madison City Channel's Know Your Candidates interviews, co-sponsored by the League of Women Voters of Dane County. I'm your interviewer, Andrea Kaminsky, and I'd like to introduce Amani Latimer Burris, running for Alder in District 12. As we begin, Amani Latimer Burris, please give an opening statement about the educational, vocational, and civic experience that you have, which prepares you for this office, and why you're running for Alder.
Yes, thank you so much. I appreciate you guys putting this together so people can get to know us. My name is Amani Latimer Burris, and I am running for District 12 Alder. I'm currently the elected in the position. I got elected in 2023. Prior to that, I was working on a national level with a dignitary whose name is Opal Lee. She is also my cousin, and she is currently 98, and she is called the grandmother of Juneteenth because she worked for 50 years to get Juneteenth passed as a federal holiday at 95 years old. So we never give up. And before that, I was working at the state Senate for Senator Taylor, where I did policy and constituent services. And I have worked for one of the parties as an organizer and in advocacy issues for several campaigns on a local, national, and state level. I'm running to make a difference. I have totally different expectations now that I've been Alder for the past 2 years, and I appreciate all of the people who devote their time, their lives, and are committed to making this city better as we're going to work on the future that's happening right now.
All right, thank you. How would you evaluate the city's current efforts to address homelessness and increase the amount of affordable housing? Are there additional steps the city should take to address these issues?
So I just took a call today about from a constituent that was concerned about an encampment that is happening in the neighborhood. Homelessness is a serious issue that we are going to have to take head on. We're going to have the difficult conversations. But what I'm hoping we do is bring people together. I myself, a few years ago, I guess it was about a decade ago, ended up living in Super 8. We went through a financial crash. We lost everything. My husband and I and my 2 kids lived in Super 8. So I know what that feels like. I know what I felt like the day that I had all my things in a garbage bag, and even that I was well connected and knew people. I had parents. I have my mom is Malele Chikasa Anana, who they renamed Anana Elementary after, and I'm not married, but she was married to Professor Latimer, my dad, who's 90, who directs the Capital City Band and the VFW band. So we have to come together and bring people together and have this difficult conversations. I supported the Bartillian shelter. I asked them, I made improvements because I didn't want it to look like a prison. So I said just that. Let's work on something that doesn't look like a prison. Let's work on something where the community that doesn't want it there can see the benefits, because housing is fundamental with a growing city, with really as human beings. If you don't have a place to be, it makes your life very difficult. So I thank God for that experience. I could not say that 10 years ago, but it really changed how I saw things.
Okay. What actions or programs would you support to enhance public safety in Madison? And in particular, what is your position on the use of body cameras by Madison police officers, given the recent demonstration project?
Yes, I was a co-sponsor of the funding for the demonstration projects. I think it's a great idea. I understand as a Black woman about being over-policed, of being suspect, of doing wrong when I'm just driving down the street. I've been pulled over. My husband is white. He'll get pulled over exactly 0 times in the year, and I will be, even as Alder, I will be pulled over 4 or 5 times. So I get that. Why I support body cams is sometimes that's the only evidence that our constituents have, the police have, when we want to know what happened, we have some video to rely on. Now, I know it's not 100%. I've read the studies. There are some issues, but at least we have a base. I know in a situation where I was pulled over and it seemed like it was one thing, but it was another. When we got to court, the officer in this case did not tell the truth on the stand, and I simply asked for the tape to be rolled. If he had not been wearing a body cam, it would have been different for me. But everything that I said happened, and he said didn't happen, actually did. Now, I'm not anti-police. I don't want their role. I think it's an honorable job, and I think it's very difficult. And so, if we can give them tools so that they can operate and do things better, we will create a better society. It will hold people accountable, and it will we'll be able to get more towards the truth. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't have to have community policing, efforts like the CARES program, dealing with the mental health situation that sometimes people are experiencing. And it doesn't mean that we can't come together. I think when we start bringing people together and we can see, you can see me in you and I can see myself in you, we're going to start to make progress. And that's actually what makes Madison wonderful. And it's what we've been working on for at least 50 years.
Okay. In the wake of the recent referendum to increase property taxes, what are your priorities for the city budget?
I was one of the alders that pushed for the community meetings because I felt like we are dealing with this budget that's this thick, and I did read the entire thing. It took me a year. And we were dealing with terminology that I realized when I was sitting on council that I'm not understanding, nor are my colleagues. So I think that we need to, my priority is for us to understand long term what's going to happen and how we can affect change in that. And so I was very proud of the fact that we had, I think the number was around 500 people come out and engage. We went through some difficult questions. We didn't get all of our questions answered, and we didn't come up with a perfect solution. But one of the things that I have heard back from the constituents is that whether you supported it or you didn't, they liked that they got information. I think in Madison, we might be information junkies, and that's okay because we are a progressive city, and really for a city of our size, nationwide, we're at the top, and that's because we have community engagement and we have people that are so passionate about an issue like voting that they're willing to do it, give us their time and their expertise.
Okay. How should Madison balance the need for development with other concerns such as traffic, historic preservation, and conservation of natural areas?
All of these are important, and housing is a driver for all of them. When we're talking about housing, we're going to hit business development, we're going to hit the environment, we're going to hit historic preservation. I'm on Landmarks Commission, and I'm learning how we historically preserve where we've been so that the future generations, when everybody's gone that's listening to this, they will know that we were here and what we were about. If we dismantle all of that, if we ignore the environment, if we don't listen to our neighbors and engage, if we call people NIMBYs or YIMBYs and stop there, we're not going to make progress. And so what I've done is I've had 23 in-person community meetings. They have been intense. I always think, okay, nobody else is coming tonight, to the next one, and they keep growing. And that's because people want to be heard and they want to come up with solutions. And I think we as a city can do a better job of explaining all the things that are going on. What does that mean? And tell people the truth. So I pledged when I ran on transparency, integrity, and accountability. And I think I delivered, and I plan on continuing to deliver.
All right. What are the most critical issues that you see facing the people in your district, and what would you propose to address these?
So when I talk to my constituents, I hear all things streets. So that means transportation, safe streets, the ability to get across the street safely, congestion, the changes that we're getting through. They want to talk about the streets because the streets with our changes are actually impacting the neighborhood. we come from a family of environmentalists. When I came in, we went so deep in deep study with people that have their PhDs and are so smart, spent their time hours with me. I mean, some of these conversations, one conversation I had was 14 hours, but she wanted me to know everything about the environment and why it was so important. We need to be concerned about small business and micro business growth and economic development. And housing is a major issue. And it's not just affordable housing. I don't even like that term. What I want to say is attainable housing. So, what does attainable housing mean? It means that I can actually afford to live in the city with a studio apartment starting at $1,500. You have to make a lot of money to make it work. Plus, we need different types of housing. So I've been looking at it. I did a Cap Times Ideas Fest. They asked me to do a housing panel, and I loved it because we got out of the taglines and into the real issues. And part of the thing is the reason that people aren't moving out when they're retired and they live in a 3-bedroom house and you want them to move out is because they have nowhere to go. And they're not going to sell their house for $400,000 and then turn around and buy one for $800,000 when they're getting ready to retire. So we can have this full conversation and we can be supportive of development, but we've got to engage. We have to talk to people. We have to have those difficult conversations, and we have to do it on a level where we're not calling people names. And so I'm committed to that, and I will do that. I will continue to get better as an alder and do that. It's in my heart.
All right. What would you like to say to the viewing audience as we complete this interview?
I would just like to say that you deserve an alder. You deserve an alder that will listen and is compassionate and puts you on the map. I am not a perfect alder. I can checklist things I can do better. This is an intense job. We are expected to know a lot, and sometimes we're dealing with people that we have to admit just simply know more than us. Uh, but I am committed to being there and receiving feedback, growing, giving feedback, and facilitating. I really think the best asset that I have, which I didn't even think was an asset until I got into the job, is I think I do a pretty good job facilitating, letting different voices be heard so that we can come together and solve this issue together. It's not kumbaya to me. It's not a tagline. It's not a talking point. It's in my soul. Because I have seen, because I was born in Madison, I was not here my whole life, but I was born here. I have seen it from a historical perspective, and I realized we are the next generation that are going to either build or destroy on everything people have done over the years to make Madison an excellent city. We're not quite there yet, but we're on our way. So please vote for me at amaniforwisconsin.com. I hope I can say that. I just did. And thank you.
All right. Well, thank you. I want to thank Amani Latimer Burris for speaking with us and thank the viewing audience for taking the time to know your candidates. I want to remind everyone that primary election day is Tuesday, February 18th, and the general election is Tuesday, April 1st. Every election is important. Please vote. On behalf of Madison City Channel and the League of Women Voters of Dane County, I thank you for joining us.